What is going on, baseball fans, and welcome back to the channel. This is Orioles Today, and as always, I am Sean Ferguson. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. And if you're a fan of today's episode, as always, please give that like button a big high five. And if you're a fan of this content, please subscribe. Get yourself daily notifications for all of these daily video drops covering all things the Baltimore Orioles. And I feel like I talked these things into existence a couple of episodes ago. I talked about Freddie Peralta, with some of these, more of these free agent starting pitchers coming off the board. Freddie Peralta is still there, and he seems to be the top trade target starting pitcher. And it would be so great for the Orioles to trade for him. And I know a lot of people in the comment section here on this channel, a lot of fans were saying it'd be great to get him, but that one-year rental thing, it didn't feel great with Corbin Burns. We'd love to extend him, but, just being able to trade for him would be great. And then we see that the New York Mets acquired him one day later in a trade, so he is off the board. And then yesterday's episode, I brought up Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore is still out there, and I've been hearing more rumors about the Nationals being more inclined to trade him now. And now with Peralta off the board, these other teams that are still looking for a top-tier starting pitcher, they could be going after Gore, so the Orioles wouldn't be alone. And yesterday afternoon, the news breaks that the Texas Rangers have acquired Mackenzie Gore from the Washington Nationals in a 5-for-1 trade. And the Rangers are not even one of the teams that I brought up that could be a potential team out there looking for a starting pitcher. The Mets were, the Yankees, the Giants, along with the Orioles as well, the Cubs. But the Texas Rangers sneak in, snag Mackenzie Gore. Gore is the only player going from Washington to Texas, and the Rangers send 5 prospects to Washington. All 5 are within the Rangers' top 20 list for their farm system. No players in the MLB top 100 were traded. The Rangers, they only have 2 of those players on their team, and they both stay in their farm system. But the 5 players that the Rangers give up, again, were all ranked in the top 20 of the Rangers farm system. The Nationals, in return, they get the 2nd-ranked Rangers prospect and shortstop Gavin Feen, the 6th-ranked Rangers prospect and right-handed pitcher Alejandro Rosario, the 12th-ranked Rangers prospect and infielder Devin Fitzgerald, 16th-ranked Rangers prospect and outfielder Yeremy Cabrera, and the 18th-ranked Rangers prospect and first baseman / outfielder Abimelec Ortiz. The main piece of this trade package was the 2nd-ranked Rangers prospect now in Washington, that is shortstop Gavin Feen. He was drafted by the Texas Rangers 12th overall last season. He's only 18 years old. He'll be 19 in March. He had a very, very small sample size playing for the Rangers single A affiliate. He only had 41 at-bats, hit 220 with 9 hits and 7 RBIs, so not a big sample size there, but a lot is expected out of him. And those are the 5 players that the Nationals get in return. And I know what you could say about Gore. He had a bad year last year. Well, he's only 26 years old. He still has 2 years of team control remaining. It's going to make, I believe, either a little bit under or a little bit over $4.5 million this season. So you got all the potential in the world. You still got a couple years of team control, and you're paying the guy almost nothing. So last year he finished 5-15. He had a 4.17 ERA, but he was also playing for the Nationals, and he didn't have a great finish to the regular season, but this guy is going to be absolutely terrific, and I would have loved to see the Orioles make a move and trade for him, but they do not. He ends up going to Texas, and the Orioles miss out on yet another opportunity of trading for a fantastic young starting pitcher that would absolutely bolster their rotation for 2026 and beyond. He is gone off the board, and I'll get into this a little bit too. As at the end of this episode, I want to get into some of your guys' comments from this past episode. I know I haven't done a comment section the last couple, so I wanted to go ahead and do one on today's episode. And I know some of you guys are talking about the prospects that the Orioles could have traded. And if you look at the Peralta trade, I'll get into it just a little bit here. I still believe that the Orioles absolutely could have made a trade for Peralta and Gore, I should say. The Orioles absolutely have the farm system for that. And I know there's other teams out there that have better farm systems than us, but the Orioles have a pretty good farm system, and they have a good enough talent that's currently on the 40-man roster that they could have traded away too as well, as I said. say what you will about Ryan Mountcastle. He does hold a little bit of trade value right now with his contract status, and he's a veteran. And if you need a guy that you want to go ahead and put in there, just a power bat in your lineup, he's a guy that you could throw in there. So that's another piece too. So there's not just pieces in the Orioles farm system, but there's guys currently on the 40-man that they could potentially part ways with as well to land one of these guys. And I definitely believe with what we've seen from both trade packages for Peralta and for Gore, absolutely I believe that the Orioles had enough to go ahead and make those deals. And now you go back and look at still the top tier remaining free agent starting pitcher in Framber Valdez. He is still out there in free agency, and as soon as Peralta was traded and as soon as Gore was traded, all I see is the Orioles are destined to get Valdez now, as there's fewer and fewer teams out there that are going to compete for like playoffs and for titles here in 2026 and beyond. Fewer and fewer of those teams are right now looking for that top end guy because they already got him. And, the Orioles are one. I'm sure the Giants are still looking. The Cubs are still looking. The Yankees would like to add another. But it feels like it makes so much sense for the Orioles to go and get Valdez right now. It makes so much sense. The top two guys, in my opinion, out there on the trade market when it comes to starting pitchers were Peralta and Gore. They are off the board. I don't see the Twins coming off Joe Ryan. I don't say what you will about Sandy Alcantara in Miami. I don't see that happening either. And there might be another name out there that you could potentially trade for that we don't know about just yet. But if you look at the guy that's still out there in free agency, that is Framber Valdez. And if the Orioles said that they have the payroll to make a deal like that happen, and that would absolutely bolster that rotation. And seeing what they have going on around them, they need to do something. They have great depth there now, but adding that one more big front end piece would make so much difference right now around the league and in our own division. Just adding that other piece in the front end with Rogers and Bradish to go with the already added depth that you have there of what you've done this offseason. That'd be a great note there. Finishing note is adding that one front end guy. He is still there for the taking. You already missed out on a good amount of guys like Ranger Suarez, and you just missed out on two top-tier trade candidates in Gore and Peralta. And the Orioles, they really, in my opinion, need to make a move for right now either Valdez or Gallen. They need to get one of those guys in that front end, and the Orioles continue to be linked to them. But again, there might be fewer teams looking, but there are still teams out there besides just the Orioles. I'm sure the Cubs are still looking again, the Giants, the Yankees, and there might be another team still out there that has already acquired a top-tier starting pitcher, and if they still have the payroll for it, why not try to go get Valdez as well? So we will see what will happen over the next couple of days with that. I'm just very hopeful to see breaking news of the Orioles able to get one of these guys. And I wanted to talk about another waiver wire addition that the Orioles have made. They have been so active this offseason in kind of the game of claiming guys off the waiver wire, and if they don't have a spot for them at the moment because they have to be on the 40-man roster or the 26-man roster because they're out of minor league options, that they waive them, hope they can clear waivers and outright them, and that has just been a circle the Orioles have continued to go through this entire offseason. It has worked sometimes, it has not, and other times, and the Orioles have officially announced that they have claimed utility player Weston Wilson from the Philadelphia Phillies. Wilson is 31 years old. He was designated for assignment by the Phillies last week after they went ahead and re-signed JT Realmuto. And Wilson, he spent the last 3 years with the Phillies in the majors, and he's hit a combined .242 with 9 homers. But a lot of that came the 2 years prior. 2025 was not a good year for him. He had a career high in plate appearances with 125, only hit 198. And the 2 years prior, he hit a combined .288. So definitely had a dip last season. But I talked about the Orioles still looking possibly for another utility player. I know we talked a little bit about Jeremiah Jackson on this channel, and I know some of you guys weren't a big fan of that just because of his defense, but he is still super young, and we'll see what he was able to work on this offseason. And still, you still got spring training coming up as well, and I believe that Jackson's going to have a big role on the Orioles this upcoming season, and that's still a possibility. And the Orioles, though, they get another utility player in Wilson, Who knows if he's going to be on the 40-man if the Orioles do make a couple of moves and they have to waive another player. He could be a guy that the Orioles do end up waiving. We will see. Only time will tell. But again, this is the moves that the Orioles continue to make. And with that, the Orioles have waived Jose Suarez. He was claimed just a week ago, and the Orioles claimed him from Atlanta, and he has officially been waived by Baltimore. And I'm sure what they're going to hope happens is that he is able, Suarez that is able to clear waivers, and they're able to outright him to AAA Norfolk. And the Orioles, they hope the same for Marco Luciano, who they waived last week, but that did not happen. The New York Yankees have announced that they have officially claimed Marco Luciano off of waivers from Baltimore, and Luciano, he was waived when the Orioles acquired Jose Suarez. So everything is coming full circle here. So we'll see if Suarez is able to clear waivers and be outrighted to AAA Norfolk and stay in Baltimore's organization. But the Yankees swoop in and they take Marco Luciano. You know, we were kind of hoping the same thing after the Orioles were able to do that with Big Christmas, but that did not happen this time. Luciano to the Yankees, and we'll see what happens over the next week or so with Suarez if he is able to clear waivers. I want to go ahead and get into your guys' comments from this past episode. Like I said, I haven't done a comment section over the last couple of episodes, so I wanted to go ahead and do one for this episode. And a lot of you guys are not happy about the Orioles' take on pitching right now. And for the most part, a lot of you guys haven't been, which I absolutely understand because I'm there with you. Kind of throughout this offseason, like some of the moves make sense with Boz and Eflin, but it's still like great depth additions. But where's that front end guy that you promised us that you were going to go after? So let's go ahead and get it started, guys. This one from Robert Corin. Peralta was there for the asking. The Mets offer was not so great that the O's could have beaten it. I don't understand how the O's can be all in for 2026 and not make your best offer for a pitcher like Peralta. The Mets also receive Myers, who is a serviceable number 5 pitcher. Absolutely. And I kind of said that too during when I was talking about Gore and Valdez and Peralta and just everything. The Orioles have a solid farm system. I know there are other teams out there with better players, or better farm systems rather, but the Orioles have one of the better ones, and they absolutely could have made that trade, and they could have been nervous about not being able to extend him, but I know it's different as well. The last couple of years ago with Corbin Burns, but that was a 1-year rental. This wouldn't have been a terrible one, and he's still young to where you possibly would have been able to re-sign him, and I just feel like if that was the only holdup, that doesn't make a lot of sense when, again, if you're trying to compete for 2026, you know you pretty much got a 1-year rental in Taylor Ward out there, and you're paying him $12 million, a little bit over $12 million this year, so even if that was the case, I still would have made this move. This one from Dana Clark. Couple here from Dana Clark. One is, just seeing everyone else making pitching moves just makes me sick to my stomach. I am absolutely there with you. And Dana Clark also says, Elias is a joke. Pitching wins championships, and we will end up next to last again. Pitching absolutely wins championships. And again, I know I keep saying that we have good depth, but you can still use that one more guy, one more top tier pitcher to go there at the front end, because if those injuries start to happen again, that depth goes away and you're lacking a strong ace up front. So absolutely, I am with you all the way, Dana. This one from Robert Weaver. Elias keeps feeding us a bunch of bull. That's what it kind of feels like. Again, Elias said this offseason, the Orioles have room and the payroll for 2 big splashes. They definitely made one in Pete Alonso, and we are still waiting for that second one as we just expected it to be a starting pitcher. This one from Big BFH72. In the matter of 24 hours, Peralta and Gore have both been moved. Are we even trying to get pitching? 4th place is in our future, and that's what a lot of you guys continue to predict. Just because, the bats, the lineup looks pretty solid, and the pitching is the main thing that we need to focus on. And again, I know we've made a couple of moves, but you're still waiting for that one difference maker up front, and Peralta and Gore definitely are those guys. So again, it's really, really sad to see them go elsewhere. This one from Scott Warnick. Well. Again, the O's are holding a bag of money and prospects, and no one is biting. What I think is really Most players don't want to come to Baltimore because of the Angelo stench that still lingers. Give it a few more years and let the new owner start showing he is willing to give up the money. And that could be a part of it, but when it comes to like trading for these guys, you feel like the Orioles should still be able to go out and do that. And if these players don't want to re-sign with us, okay. But if you're able to trade for these guys where they really don't have a say in where they're going, yeah, I still don't understand if they have the money and, again, the prospects. I don't understand why they're not making those moves. This one from John Miller. The O's aren't interested in frontline pitching. They are doing the same old crap they always do. Elias sucks, needs to be gone, does this every year, then it's too late. Fed up with him and his same old crap. And Elias has kind of taken us through one of these this offseason just because, like, okay, you started off with the Rodriguez trade to acquire Taylor Ward, like you're addressing needs. Okay, you wanted a big outfield bat, you got Ward. You wanted a first baseman, big bat there, boom. You surprised all of us and you're able to sign Pete Alonso. That's crazy. And you made some other moves, again, Helsley there, closing pitcher, and it got to a point after the Rodriguez trade, too, where it was, okay, well, you traded Grayson Rodriguez, and we need pitching, so you traded away a pitcher, and, I understand the injuries and everything, but you traded away a starting pitcher. And they're like, well, he made that move, so he's definitely going to address starting pitching a lot. And, yes, Eflin came back, and, yes, you traded for Shane Baz, but that isn't the top tier, the frontline starting pitcher you said that we were going to go after. Like a lot of these teams so far have said that they're going to go after, and they did. We're still waiting for that. So it really feels kind of like the same thing, and I understand your frustration. I understand what you're saying because it just feels like the same old. You're telling us one thing, but you just don't do it. I absolutely understand the frustration. This one from Ken Silverstone. The story is that the Orioles sat on their hands again for Peralta, as they did previously for Amai and Ranger Suarez, who went for a couple of minor league prospects. Apparently, Elias agrees with all the Oriole podcasters that we have a great lineup of starting pitching already, so we don't need to pick up anyone else. For anyone with a short memory, the Orioles had a great lineup in starting pitching when spring training started in 2025. Grayson Rodriguez, Bradish, Eflin, Rogers, Tyler Wells, and a top Japanese pitcher in Sugano, a proven veteran in Charlie Morton, Dean Kramer, Cade Povich, and Albert Suarez. How did that work out? And I absolutely agree. I get it. I get it. On paper, it looks pretty good, but that's on paper. It's not something where you really feel like it's going to make a massive difference when it comes to everyone else in the East. And it doesn't feel like you're going to be able to compete with everyone else who you feel like has those starting rotations where you're like, whoa, okay, those 1 through 5, those guys are blowing you away. We got a couple good ones in, again, that front end with a Rogers and with a Bradish. But then when you go down the list, it's like, okay, he's solid. It doesn't absolutely blow you away. If Rogers is able to pitch the way he pitched last season, if Bradish is able to avoid the injury bug next year, then okay, great. That's fantastic. And then we have good pieces around them. But it's just, I get it. There's no telling what injuries are going to do. And if a couple of these guys, that you kind of expect could have a little bit of trouble here or there, you expect that top tier guy to be able to, pick them up and just give you consistent great starts every time he goes out there. And you just don't feel like you really have that guy right now. Besides a Radish or a Rogers and a Bradish. And the Orioles in this, if they look at it, and if that the first part of what you said there in the comments too, if Elias thinks we have a good on paper, we don't need to add anybody else, it's just not true. It's like, I'm not saying you're lying. What I'm saying is that it's just not. It's, yes, it could look good on paper, but you can always improve your starting rotation. And the Orioles could definitely improve this starting rotation for sure. And if you have a chance to do that, why not take that chance and make that happen? Last one here, guys. This is going to be from Thomas Robux. Sean, love your videos, but I question some of your analysis. You often say that the Orioles could make a trade, but I question you with what they traded for prospects to get Boz. So if you take that into account, MLB has said other than Beavers or Basayo, your next highest ranking prospect is ranked 48 or lower. If you are the team trying to make a deal with the Orioles, remembering what the price was just for Peralta, how do you make me want to take your deal over another team that might offer me prospects that are ranked higher? All to say the Orioles do not have a high-ranking farm system compared to the past. So I really disagree with you on that, because kind of what I talked about, the Rangers gave up 5 prospects, 0 were in the top 500. The Rangers only have two prospects currently in the MLB top 100. The Orioles have 5, and the Rangers 2 got to stay put in Texas. They didn't even have to trade them. They didn't even have to trade them to Washington to get Gore. So I disagree, because I absolutely believe the Orioles have the farm system to make a deal like that, and they have players, again, that are currently on their 40-man, 1 or 2 here or there, that they could potentially part with if they wanted to. There's others, of course, but if you wanted to keep a lot of this current lineup intact, there's still 1 or 2 guys on that 40-man, including a Ryan Mountcastle, that you could add in a trade package, and there's still plenty, if you just take those away, just in our current farm system, that you can throw in a trade. Again, with 5 players in the top 100, I don't even think that you would have to give up one of those, because I do believe the Orioles farm system is that solid. Yes, it might not be as good as it has been in the past, but it is still a very good farm system, and also compared to a lot of other teams. So with that, I do believe that the Orioles could have outbid for both Peralta and Gore. And if they even did offer a trade, we don't know. We probably never will. But I do believe the Orioles absolutely had what they needed to make a deal for both of those guys, for sure. But guys, that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're a fan of today's episode, like always, please give that like button a big high five. And if you're a fan of this content, please subscribe. Get yourself daily notifications for all of these daily video drops covering all things the Baltimore Orioles. I will see you guys on the very next episode. This is Orioles Today. I am Sean Ferguson, and let's go O's.